Heartwarming rescue, how two snowbound twins exposed a millionaire's hidden purpose forever. Mia and Jake, the inseparable 12-year-old twins, stood by their window, faces pressed against the frosty glass as snowflakes danced like tiny fairies in the heavy gusts outside. The storm raged on, painting their small rural town in an endless white. They could feel the chill creeping into their cozy home, but their hearts were warm with determination. Neighborly values didn't just float in the town, they were like the air they breathed. "Mia, we have to help Mr. Thompson," Jake declared, his voice firm with purpose. The thought of their elderly neighbor spending another snow-filled night alone twisted a knot in his stomach. Mr. Thompson often spoke of loneliness and had shared too many silent evenings. "We should bring him some supplies." With matching resolve, Mia hurried to gather blankets, canned soup, and a thermos of hot cocoa. The storm might howl and blow, but they had a mission. They bundled up, slipping into their thick boots and puffy coats, and stepped into the swirling white abyss. The wind whipped around them, freezing their cheeks, but that didn't matter. They fought against nature itself for someone who needed them. It was tough trudging through snowdrifts, but they laughed together as they stumbled, helping each other up time after time. Then, as they turned the corner by Mr. Harrington's mansion, a grand and shadowy structure that loomed over the town, something caught their eye. Tucked away in its majestic shadow, the light flickered dimly. They glanced at each other, excitement sparking. Maybe they could get Mr. Harrington to help them with supplies. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As they approached, the storm intensified, swirling snow around them like the universe's way of challenging two tiny heroes. They hesitated, but curiosity drove them forward. "What if he's just a mean old man?" Mia whispered, tugging Jake's arm. "And what if he's not?" he countered, steel in his voice. The twins knocked on the heavy door, the sound fading into the wind. Moments felt like hours as they waited. Suddenly, the door creaked open, revealing Mr. Harrington, a man with deep-set eyes and an expression that seemed to house more shadows than light. Misjudgment and hushed rumors flickered through their minds, but the twins pressed on, sharing their purpose, wanting to understand the man behind the facade. In that swirling chaos, emotions ignited both within and around them. And as they listened to Mr. Harrington speak a tale laced with sadness, burden, and hope, they began to see more than the sprawling mansion and heavy wallet. Perhaps he too was a prisoner of circumstance. The storm still raged outside, but within the heavy walls of Mr. Harrington's mansion, something shifted. Mia and Jake had ignited what could be a transformative flame, a truth waiting to awaken in their small town. The air buzzed with the potential of change. Would they find a way to bridge the divide between loneliness, wealth, and community? With hearts pounding and hope lighting their way, they stood ready to discover what came next. Mia and Jake stood at the threshold, their hearts beating in a synchronized rhythm. The intensity of the moment was palpable as they took in the flickering glow of the living room lights, contrasting sharply with the dull gloom outside. Mr. Harrington, still standing in the doorway, looked at them with a mix of surprise and curiosity. "Come inside, children," he said, his voice softer than they'd expected. "You shouldn't be out in this storm." The warmth enveloped them like a hug as they crossed the threshold into the mansion. Every corner of the room glowed with a golden light, but this was no ordinary warmth. It was a reflection of all the stories, memories, and perhaps even regrets contained within those walls. "Would you like cocoa?" Mr. Harrington asked, motioning toward a plush couch. Jake nodded eagerly, while Mia remained cautious but intrigued. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this man. As Mr. Harrington shuffled to the kitchen, Mia's eyes scanned the room, taking in the walls lined with photographs. Each frame captured moments of joy and laughter, but also solitude, the stark reminders of life that had so much to give, yet was filled with loss. "Did you make those?" Mia pointed to a watercolor painting hanging near the fireplace, an impressionistic rendition of the town under the same heavy snow blanket that shrouded them now. "Ah, that one," he replied, a glimmer of pride breaking through his reserved demeanor. "I painted it years ago. I used to love to create before everything changed." His voice trailed off, and Mia felt a pang of empathy. Jake shifted in his seat, curious about that last comment. "What do you mean, Mr. Harrington?" He paused, setting down 2 steaming mugs on the coffee table, his hands trembling slightly. "I lost my family in a terrible accident. After that, I stopped connecting with the people around me. This house, it became a tomb for my sadness." The admission hung heavy in the air, and a silence fell over them. Mia looked at Jake, their minds racing. This was not the man of reputation in town, but someone who had carried loneliness longer than they could imagine. "But you're not alone now," she said softly. "You have neighbors. You can talk to us too." She could feel the warmth of hope bubbling up. "Talking is one thing. Connecting is quite another," he replied, a bittersweet smile breaking through the veil of sorrow. In that moment, the door swung closed against the howling winds outside. It felt as if the storm was an external representation of the turmoil that existed inside them all. Would they be able to change the nature of their relationship with this enigmatic man? As they sipped hot cocoa, laughter began to bubble forth, the sound breaking through Mr. Harrington's heavy silence. Mia and Jake shared stories about their adventures, each tale pulling the older man a little closer into their world. Even as they laughed together, the air around them was charged with unspoken truths. Suddenly, Mr. Harrington leaned forward, an idea sparking in his eyes. Maybe we could organize a neighborhood gathering. It could be a way to reconnect, to bring everyone together, even me." The twins exchanged glances, excitement lighting up their faces. What they had originally intended to be a simple act of kindness had ignited an opportunity they never imagined. But as plans began to unfold, the wind rattled the windows, a chilling reminder that the storm could stir up more than they bargained for. Would the gathering mend broken ties, or would it reopen old wounds? "Let us call the others," Mia exclaimed, her heart racing at the prospect of change. With renewed energy, they set to work, ready to challenge fate itself. As they prepared to make that first call, an unexpected knock echoed through the hallway. Mia and Jake looked at each other, uncertainty dancing in the air. Who could it be, braving the storm outside? With a quick breath, they opened the door once more, hearts pounding at the unknown. Standing before the door, Mia felt a rush of cold air sweep past her, sending a shiver down her spine. Jake hesitated beside her, then leaned in with a mix of excitement and concern. They swung the door open, expecting the worst from the ferocious storm. For a brief moment, all they saw was swirling snow, thick and blinding. But then, a figure appeared through the white haze, someone bundled in heavy layers, their breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. "Mia. Jake." The voice was familiar, but it took a moment for their minds to catch up. Once the snow settled, they recognized their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, a kind woman with a warm heart. "I was worried. I saw your lights and thought I'd check on you." "Mrs. Thompson," they exclaimed together. The relief was palpable. Come in," Mia urged, stepping aside. She motioned for her to take refuge from the chill. Mrs. Thompson stumbled inside, shaking off snow like a dog might shake off water. They closed the door behind her, shutting out the storm once more. As she warmed up, Mia felt a sense of comfort spread across the room, enhanced by Mr. Harrington's earlier invitation. "We were just making plans for a neighborhood gathering," she announced, her excitement spilling over. "Would you help us?" The older woman's eyes lit up. "A gathering? That sounds wonderful. We could use something cheerful, especially with a storm like this." Jake bounced on his feet. Mr. Harrington suggested it. He thinks it could help everyone reconnect. Both women turned to Mr. Harrington, who was surprisingly quiet amidst the buzz of warmth and chatter. Feeling the attention, he shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Ah, yes, his voice wavered as he struggled to find the right words. I thought maybe we could actually do something for the community. It's a way to bring back light into dark times. Mrs. Thompson reached out, placing a hand on his arm. You're not alone in this, Arthur. We all carry some weight. But together, we can lighten each other's burdens. Mia watched the exchange, her heart swelling with hope. If they were to pull together as a community, this could be the start of something beautiful. She could see Mr. Harrington soften at the sincerity in Mrs. Thompson's words, just like snowflakes melting in the sun. Let us plan it, then. We could have hot cocoa, games, and maybe even stories from the older folks. Jake chimed in, his youthful exuberance making the room feel even cozier. As ideas flew around, Mia noticed a flicker of something in Mr. Harrington's eyes. It was maybe the glimmer of possibility, of shared joy. She clung to that moment, a shared spark igniting in the heavy air. Suddenly, another knock echoed from the door, this time more insistent. What now? Jake muttered, glancing back toward the hallway. Could it be more neighbors? Mia suggested, her curiosity piqued. Let us see. They approached the door again, the atmosphere now thick with anticipation. As they opened the door, a gust of wind roared inside along with another figure, this time cloaked in a dark coat, mud-stained from the journey. Their hearts thumped loud as the storm raged outside. The figure stepped in, the hood falling away to reveal a face they all recognized, someone from the neighborhood who had vanished from sight. Surprised, they said, their voice barely above a whisper, yet charged with untold stories. What had brought this person back? Mia's stomach turned in anticipation. As secrets began to intertwine, she wondered if they were opening the door to something much greater than they expected. The figure stepped fully into the room, shaking the snow from their shoulders. Mia's mind raced as she tried to place them. It was Ethan, the boy from across the street. They hadn't seen him since he abruptly left town several months ago. The surprise of his sudden appearance hung in the air, thick with unasked questions. Ethan? We thought you'd disappeared, Mia stammered, her heart pounding. She could sense Jake's excitement, the way he leaned forward, eager to hear Ethan's story. Ethan took a deep breath, his cheeks flushed from the cold. I had to leave for a bit. Family issues, he murmured, looking at the floor. But I'm back now. Needed to clear my head. This storm is nothing compared to what I've faced. Mrs. Thompson stepped forward, concern flooding her features. Oh, dear. You must have gone through so much. But you're home now, and we're all so happy to see you. Yeah, we can help you with anything you need, Jake jumped in, his enthusiasm brightening the somber mood. Mia shifted her weight from one foot to the other, uncertain. Ethan, do you want to join our gathering plans? It might be just the thing everyone needs. He looked up, hesitation flickering in his eyes. For a moment, Mia thought he might turn them down, but slowly, a smile crept across his face. That sounds good. I could use a little holiday spirit. With that, the atmosphere began to shift. The earlier warmth of the room grew, as if the room itself was giving Ethan a welcome-back hug. They began brainstorming ideas again, discussing how to create a sense of togetherness amidst the storm battering from outside. The spirit of connection was palpable, washing over them even stronger as they plotted and planned, but Mia noticed something else, the glances exchanged between Ethan and Mr. Harrington. She fumbled, trying to piece it together. Their expressions held a weight, a worry that mirrored her own. There was something behind Ethan's return, something deeper than just bad weather and lost time. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A burst of laughter erupted through the room as Jake waved his arms enthusiastically, but Mia's thoughts were somewhere else. Ethan, is everything all right? You know you can tell us, right? He held her gaze, vulnerability flooding his features. There's a lot more to my story. Not everything's easy, but maybe I can share it soon. Before Mia could ask more, the lights flickered again, then dimmed. A moment of silence fell, then laughter swelled again in the room, reverberating against the storm outside. Mia felt a stirring in her heart. Stories were unfolding, threats loomed just beyond the bounds of their gathering. As they chuckled and planned, she felt the weight of the unknown pressing down. Would this gathering help them heal and reconnect, or would it open doors to truths too heavy to bear? Mia's heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Maybe it was time for them all to confront their secrets, hidden beneath layers of snow and frost. The warmth of friendship could thaw the edges of their past pains, but at what cost? "Ethan, when you're ready, I want to hear your story," she said, hoping to bridge the distance that lingered between the light-hearted laughter and the darker truths waiting to be revealed. As if on cue, another knock echoed through the house, deeper this time, and every face turned toward the door. What more could the storm bring? The clamor for answers hung thick in the air. The night had just begun. Mia's heart raced again, this time with curiosity mingled with a hint of dread. The knock was louder now, demanding attention. She exchanged glances with Jake, who looked just as startled, his excitement shifting momentarily to concern. "Do you think it's someone else?" Jake whispered, his voice barely masking his anticipation. "Another friend?" Ethan's eyes darted towards the door, his expression suddenly serious. "It could be, I'm not sure." Mrs. Thompson, sensing the unease, moved toward the door. "I'll see who it is," she said, brushing her hands against her apron. The shadows in the room deepened as she approached the entrance, the glow from the single overhead light flickering with each gust of wind that rattled the windows. Mia could feel a thick tension in the air, amplified by the storm's howl. She wanted to comfort Ethan, to reach out and ease whatever heavy burden lay beneath his quiet nature. But before she could move, the door creaked open, and cold air rushed into the warmth of the living room. Standing in the doorway was a tall figure, covered in a thick coat, hood pulled low over their face. A moment of stillness swallowed the room, before finally, the figure stepped inside, shaking off snowflakes like a dog after a bath. As the figure removed their hood, Mia's breath caught in her throat. It was Colette, from the town's charity organization. What was she doing here, in this storm? "Mia!" she exclaimed, her eyes bright despite the chill. "I couldn't reach you on the phone. Things are escalating, and I need your help." "What do you mean?" Mia asked, stepping forward. She could feel the unease in the air becoming thicker still. Colette shifted her gaze to Ethan, who stood rooted in place, eyes wide. "It's about the fundraiser we were planning. There's been news," she continued, her voice subdued. "Something that could change everything." Ethan's expression hardened. "What kind of news?" "Money has been disappearing. Donations meant for families in need. We think it might be someone on the inside," Colette explained, her voice trembling slightly. "We need to figure out how to protect everyone's contributions, and fast." A collective gasp filled the room. Mia could hear Jake's sharp intake of breath while Mrs. Thompson clasped her hands, concern etched on her face. Mia turned to Ethan. She could see his mind racing, pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. "Do you know something about this?" she asked urgently. "No," Ethan said, shaking his head, but Mia caught the flicker of something. Fear? Guilt? She couldn't tell, but the air between them tightened further. Colette continued, "I wouldn't have reached out if I didn't think you all could help. Your voices carry weight. People listen to you, and we can't let this go unnoticed." Mia's heartbeat quickened. They had already weathered the storm inside, but could they avert this new threat on top of it? Would they be able to gather the community, because this was more than just their holiday plans? This was about their town, their friends, the families that relied on every single dollar. "Let us get working, then," Jake declared, his excitement returning. He looked at Mia and then Ethan, determination shining in his eyes. If they think they can take from our community, they're going to have to answer to us. Mia nodded, the weight of purpose settling over her. But we need to be smart about this. It's not just about charity anymore, it's about standing together against something wrong. Ethan took a step forward, meeting her gaze. I want to help fix this. It's finally time to face whatever's been haunting me. As the storm raged outside, a fire ignited within them, a fierce desire to protect what was theirs. But with the mystery deepening, they had no idea how far they would have to go or what was left to uncover. Mia glanced back at the door, the swirling snow casting shadows across the room, and her heart jolted. If they were going to stand against something so deeply rooted, they would have to dig deep into their own fears, their own secrets. What else was Ethan keeping from them? And what dangers lurked in the darkness beyond the door? The night was just getting started. Mia stood frozen, her heart whirling. The room felt both too big and too small, filled with too many worries and unanswered questions. The wind howled outside, echoing her fears. What now? She thought. What do we do first? Jake's enthusiasm was contagious, but Mia sensed that their path wouldn't be easy. Colette leaned against the wall, rubbing her arms as if to ward off the cold lingering from her snowy entrance. We should start by gathering information, Colette suggested, her eyes darting around the room, as though searching for answers lurking in the corners. If we connect with the donors or reach out to families scheduled to receive help, we might uncover some clues. Ethan nodded, but Mia could see a shadow crossing his face. She took a step closer to him. Are you sure you want to dive into this? We can't do it alone, she said softly. I have to, Ethan replied, his voice steadier than before. It's about more than just wanting to help. It feels personal. Personal? Mia echoed, brow furrowing. What do you mean? Before Ethan could respond, Colette interjected. Whatever it is, we'll face it together, she assured, projecting a calm that Mia found both comforting and disarming. Okay, Mia said finally, her voice firm as she crossed her arms. Let us start with our basic plan. We split up to gather information. Colette, can you talk to the families? Jake, you and I can reach out to the other volunteers from the organization. I'm on it. Jake exclaimed, his eagerness reflecting in his bright eyes. Mia felt a surge of determination as she clapped her hands together. Right then, she said, let us get going. Without another word, they divided tasks, the energy in the room shifting from uncertainty to a focused urgency. Mia could feel the excitement in the air. It was a magnetic force pulling them toward action. She pushed aside her nagging worries and grabbed her phone. With each call, they emerged into the world outside their small bubble, uncovering snippets of conversations tinged with mistrust and confusion. The ride was not what they had anticipated. The families they spoke to were afraid and frustrated. We gave everything we could, and we're still waiting on help, one mother said, her voice thick with emotion. Who would steal from families like ours? Asked another. Every time someone hung up, Mia felt more urgency burning in her chest. They had to catch this thief, whoever they were, before it was too late. Their town was not just a community, it was family. Hours rolled on, and they reconvened back at Mrs. Thompson's place, the warm glow of the living room a stark contrast against the storm's chill outside. Colette looked worn but resolute as she shared details of her conversations. There's more fear than we thought, she said, handing Mia a stack of notes. People are scared to speak up. Mia scanned the pages filled with scribbles. Among the familiar names, one stood out. Isn't this the guy who runs the shipping company? She muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan stiffened beside her. Yeah, he's a big name in town, but what has he got to do with this? Just then, the wind howled louder, rattling the window as if it was warning them. Sometimes it's the familiar faces that we least expect, Mia said, her heart pounding. Ethan turned away, his brow furrowed in thought. Mia felt the shift in his energy, and a wave of realization washed over her. What was he hiding? Jake leaned in closer, excitement dancing in his eyes. If we dig into his records, we might find out who he's working with if he's in on this. As the group delved deeper into the web of confusion and fear, they became increasingly aware of how close the danger might be. The room became a hive of conspiratorial whispers and determined nods, every moment forward an inch closer to the truth. But as they plotted their next step, uncertainty hung thick in the air. Who else would they encounter? How deep did this corruption go? Mia locked eyes with Ethan again, her heart heavy with unspoken questions. She felt as though they were teetering on the edge of something monumental. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from outside, sending shivers down their spines. What was out there? With their nerves already frayed, this storm held more than just icy winds. It brought with it the possibility of secrets finally breaking free, and Mia knew they had to be ready for whatever came next. Would they unearth the truth hidden in the shadows, or would they find themselves lost in the storm? The crash outside became a deafening roar, drowning out the crackling fire in the hearth. Mia's heart raced as she exchanged nervous glances with Jake and Colette. Even Ethan, who usually seemed so composed, shifted uncomfortably on his feet. The storm raged despite the warmth of the room, sending ominous shadows across the walls. "We should check it out," Mia finally said, her voice trembling just enough to hint at her unease. Jake nodded, his excitement dimmed by the palpable tension. Ethan hesitated, his expression darkening. "What if it's related to what we're uncovering? We could be walking right into a trap." Mia forced herself to breathe evenly, willing the chaos around them to settle. "No, we can't let fear control us. We have to confront whatever this is." She tried to sound braver than she felt. "Together." With a reluctant sigh, Ethan agreed, "Okay. But let us be careful." They gathered their coats, bundling up against the biting cold. Colette's eyes darted toward the window again, the flickering lights of nearby homes barely visible through the swirling snow. Stepping outside felt like crossing into another world, one cloaked in white but laced with an edge of danger. The wind howled, swirling snowflakes into their faces. They trudged through the unplowed yard, clenching their hands into fists to ward off the cold. "Over there!" Jake shouted, pointing toward the tree line. A shadow shifted in the distance, barely visible through the thick flurries. "Do you see it?" Colette whispered, shifting closer to Ethan as they pressed forward. The shadow moved again, a figure, struggling against something unseen. Mia took a deep breath, her instincts kicking in. "We have to help them." Before they could respond, she raced ahead, her feet crunching through the snow. "Wait!" Ethan called after her, but she was already breaking through the brush. The cold air felt sharper against her cheeks as she burst into a small clearing. The sight stunned her. A girl, not much older than them, was pinned by a fallen branch. Panic surged through Mia. "Are you okay?" she shouted, rushing toward her. The girl looked up, tears glistening on her cheeks. "I can't move. Please, help me." Without a second thought, Mia threw her weight against the branch. It wouldn't budge. "Ethan!" she yelled. "I need you." Ethan arrived, pushing through the thick snow. He dropped to his knees beside Mia, grunting as he joined her in the struggle to lift the branch. "On 3. Mia counted, heart racing as she met Ethan's intense gaze. 1, 2, 3. With one heave, the branch shifted, and the girl was free. "Oh, thank you. Thank you." She sobbed, trying to stand but wincing in pain. Colette rushed over, supporting the girl. "Can you walk?" "I think so," the girl gasped, determination fueling her strength as she took a shaky step. Mia locked eyes with Ethan, both of them suddenly aware of the fleeting connection they shared, a silent understanding born out of the chaos. But before they could dwell on it, a sharp sound jolted them from their thoughts, the crack of a twig nearby. "Someone's coming," Jake said, his voice low. Mia turned, a knot forming in her stomach. Had they been followed? The storm masked a deeper layer of danger, and suddenly, the rescue felt like a spotlight on their vulnerability. The looming shadows might not just be limited to the storm anymore. The girl leaned against Colette, her breath visible in the icy air. "You have to help me, they're after me." "Who?" Mia gasped, every instinct alert. As they huddled closer, awaiting answers that might change everything, Mia felt the weight of the moment. The truth was looming just beyond reach, and it was a truth that threatened to engulf them all. Who was the girl and what danger had she escaped? Would they uncover another layer of this growing mystery, or plunge deeper into a web of secrets they may not escape? Mia's breath came out in clouds as she stood there, her resolve hardening. The girl's wide eyes sparkled with fear and something more, desperation. "Please," the girl implored again, her voice a mere whisper against the howling wind. "I need to get away, they won't stop until they find me." "We can help you," Ethan said, his tone a mix of compassion and determination. "But you have to tell us what's going on." Colette adjusted her grip around the girl's waist as she shifted her weight, clearly in pain. "Do you have somewhere safe?" The girl nodded slowly, but then her expression crumpled. I was running away from my parents." "Running from them?" Jake echoed, the confusion evident in his voice. "Why?" "They're involved in something dark," the girl gasped, glancing over her shoulder as if expecting figures to emerge from the shadows. "Business deals that hurt people. I couldn't be a part of it anymore. I thought I could escape them here." The moment hung in the air, thick with tension. Mia exchanged looks with Ethan and Jake. They all understood, innately, that there were layers to this girl's story, like the snow building around them. "Okay, let us get you out of the open," Mia urged, glancing back toward the tree line where they had come from. "We should find shelter." "I know a place," the girl said suddenly, her eyes brightening with a flicker of hope. "My friend lives out here. She'll help us." "Lead the way," Mia said, her heart pounding. They started moving, the wind whipping around them, blasting cold against their faces. As they made their way through the snowy drifts, the girl leaned on Colette, wincing with every step. Mia couldn't shake the tightening in her chest. She felt responsibility weighing on her, a surge of protectiveness growing for this stranger, a girl caught in a storm of her own making. "Do you have a name?" Mia asked softly, trying to ease the tension. "What should we call you?" "It's Aria." The girl met Mia's gaze, and for a moment, something cracked open in both of them. "Thank you for saving me." "Of course," Mia replied. "You don't have to thank us yet, we're still in danger ourselves." They broke through the cluster of trees, coming upon a small, weathered cabin nestled against the rolling hills. Darkened windows shone only faintly through the onslaught of snow, giving it an air of abandonment. "Here it is," Aria breathed, relief washing over her as she staggered forward. "This is my friend's place." "It looks deserted," Jake said, his face etched with concern. "They'll be inside," Aria insisted, urgency in her voice. "Please." Mia felt a surge of bravery. They pushed through the door, which creaked ominously as it gave way, revealing a dimly lit space strewn with old furniture and dust. "Hello?" Mia called out, unease creeping in. No response came. Ethan stepped forward, scanning the room. "We need to barricade the door. If anyone asks after her, we don't know what could happen." While Jake and Colette began stacking furniture, Aria slumped against the wall, visibly trembling. "They won't stop. They'll find me." Mia knelt beside her, taking her hand in her own. "You're safe here for now. We'll figure this out together." But just as they started to form a plan, a loud thud sounded from outside, echoing through the cabin. The group froze, hearts thudding in their chests. "Did you hear that?" Colette whispered, fear dancing in her eyes. Mia nodded, realizing the night was about to take a turn they never anticipated. What secrets awaited them beyond those darkened windows? Would they discover an enemy looser than they thought? The door rattled ominously once again. Do we hide? Jake asked, panic rising in cadence with the relentless storm outside. Not yet, Mia replied, determination edging into her voice. We have to know who's out there. But what lay behind that door? Could it be the answers they sought, or even greater danger? With bated breath, they waited, questions buzzing through the air like the falling snow. Mia felt the tension rise in the small cabin as the wind howled outside. The rattling door echoed in her ears, each noise a reminder that time was running out. Arya trembled beside her, their clasped hands conveying a mix of fear and determination. What if it's them? Arya's voice quaked. She glanced at the barricaded door, her big, scared eyes reflecting the flicker of the lone candle illuminating the room. Ethan stepped closer, confident yet cautious. We need to be ready for anything, he said, his eyes darting between the window and the door. Jakes, stay near Arya. Colette, you and I will keep watch. Mia nodded, her heart racing. She wanted to reassure Arya, to promise her that everything would be okay, but the truth was that they were all tangled in something larger and darker than they understood. With each thud against the door, the whirlwind of thoughts in Mia's mind accelerated. She was afraid, more afraid than she had ever been. Who was Arya running from? Why did her parents feel the need to hurt others? Then, as if answering her unspoken worries, they heard another bang, more insistent this time. It was like someone was trying to force their way in. We can't just wait, Mia blurted out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Let us see who it is. Are you sure about this? Colette whispered, the fear evident in her wide eyes. We have to know. Now. Mia pushed back against the furniture and slowly crept toward the door. It creaked more loudly than she expected, as if it were warning her about what lay beyond. Just as she grabbed the handle, a loud crash echoed through the cabin, and the door shook violently. Open up. We know you're in there. A deep voice boomed from outside, sending shivers down Mia's spine. Mia turned quickly to the others. What do we do? Arya pressed her back against the wall, wrapping her arms around her knees. I don't want to go back. Please don't let them take me. Mia felt a wave of instinctual protectiveness. They can't take you, Arya. I promise. Who are they? Jake asked, his voice low and serious, eyes glued to the door. Just people who want to control me, Arya whispered. They're dangerous. Then we fight, Ethan said, grabbing a heavy candle holder from the table. If they get in, we won't go down without a fight. We can hold them off, Mia said, grabbing a flashlight from the pile of scattered belongings. We have to make a plan. Keep Arya safe. The sound of footsteps crunched closer to the cabin, hoarse breaths brushing against the creaky wood. Suddenly, a shadow passed by the window, dark against the white canvas of snow. Get ready, Mia urged, her heart pounding as she tightened her grip on the flashlight. The urgency of the moment pushed her forward. This was no longer just about survival, it was about protecting a girl who had already lost too much. As the door rattled violently once more, Mia felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it. They were on the brink of something. But the handle twisted with a loud screech, and the door swung open, revealing a dark figure that made Mia's breath catch in her throat. Arya, the voice slithered. We found you. Mia's heart sank. Who was this, and what did they want? As the figure stepped closer, she braced herself for what was to come, the weight of the moment enveloping her as the air thickened with dread. They were about to enter a battle they had never anticipated. Would they defend what they had fought so hard to protect, or would the darkness engulf them all? Mia felt her heart pound in her chest as the figure stepped into the cabin, silhouetted against the blinding snow. It was hard to see clearly, but there was a mix of authority and danger in the menacing stance. Arya the figure cooed, their voice dripping with false sweetness. "We've been looking everywhere for you. Stay back." Mia shouted, stepping protectively in front of Arya, her flashlight illuminating an angry scowl beneath the hood. The atmosphere shifted, every breath growing heavier as they faced the unknown. Behind her, Jake and Colette steadied themselves, every muscle tense. Ethan clenched the candle holder tighter, his expression fierce as he shifted into a defensive stance. "You're not taking her," he declared, the figure's lips curled into a twisted smile. "Oh, but you misunderstand. She needs to come home where she belongs and you're not going to stop me." "Why? You can't control her." Mia yelled, every instinct in her screaming to protect Arya. "She deserves to be free." "Free?" The figure mocked, stepping closer. "Freedom is an illusion. She has a duty, a legacy. And I'm here to make sure she fulfills it." Arya's breath hitched, and Mia felt her shiver. "You don't have to listen to him, Arya," Mia said softly, reassuringly. "You're in control of your life." Suddenly, the figure laughed, a cold, sinister sound echoing off the cabin walls. "Let us not pretend here, children. Life is not a fairy tale, and she cannot escape what's destined." Mia looked back at Arya, who was trembling but still holding on to hope. "We're not going to let them take you, whatever it costs," Mia said, her words firm as she stepped between the figure and Arya. "We'll fight for you." With that declaration, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Mia felt the collective energy rise. Jake's hands clenched in determination, Colette positioned herself sturdily by Arya, and Ethan steadied his candle holder like a sword ready for battle. As if sensing the change, the figure's sneer darkened, and they lunged forward. In a flash of instinct, Ethan swung the candle holder, catching the figure off guard. The surprise led them to stumble back just long enough for Mia and the others to take action. "Run!" Mia shouted, her heart racing as she ushered Arya toward the back of the cabin. Together, they sprinted through the dim maze of the cabin, every sound magnified by adrenaline, the sound of shouting, the pounding of feet on the wooden floorboards. "Go, go!" They found a small door at the back, leading out into a narrow escape path. Watching Ethan and Jake engage in a standoff with the figure, Mia pushed Arya forward. "Get to safety. We'll hold them off." Arya hesitated. "But just trust us. We'll find you," Mia said, kicking the door open. The blustering storm outside swirled a fresh wave of ice onto their faces, but there was no time to dwell on the cold. Arya stepped through, armed with hope, and began to run. "Jake! We have to clear a way," Mia shouted, concern flooding her tone as the figure regained composure and renewed intent to invade the cabin. They were stronger as a unit, but the stakes had grown with the arrival of Arya's pursuer. "Split up!" Jake yelled, pointing toward an adjacent window. "We can get around them." Mia nodded, and they sprang into action, bolting for their own escape routes. Mia sprinted back toward the front, adrenaline surging through her veins as she grabbed a handful of tools scattered on the floor. Meanwhile, Colette and Ethan squared off, their position anchored as they faced off against the intruder. The figure sneered, ready to strike. "You really think you can stop me? This is not over." "Not while we're here," Colette yelled, her fierce determination radiating strength. Mia charged through the door, slamming it open, blocking the view of the figure inside as she quickly grabbed a pile of snow and ice. "We can't let them follow," she yelled, and with a heave, she threw the snow at the door, creating a barrier for the moment. Back outside, the wind whipped mercilessly against their faces as Arya ran through the deep drifts, her heart racing with fear and hope. She needed to find safety. Her friend lived nearby, the connection to escape from her claims, or so she thought. Behind her, Mia and the others fought off the figure desperately. Amidst the chaos, she could feel the uncertainty. Was this truly the end? Just as Mia regained her footing, Arya caught glimpses of shadows approaching in the distance. They're coming for you," she cried, but Mia locked eyes with her, injecting all the courage she had into the moment. "Keep running. We are going to be right behind you." With that, Arya tore through the snow, surging towards her friend's cabin, the warmth of connection driving her forward even in blinding cold. It wasn't just her past but also the whispers of hope that lifted her stride. As the figure outside broke through the confines of the cabin, Mia realized something monumental, how deep their bonds had grown through this adversity. Together, they forge a way not just for Arya, but for themselves, fighting for everyone who deserved freedom. Behind them, just as they rallied with renewed strength, they heard the figure let out a desperate roar. "You can't escape your shadows. Watch us!" Mia shouted back, heart racing as they rallied together. With purpose, they charged into the snow-laden night, the storm howling around them, and the road ahead uncertain but full of promise. They would carve their way even against the storm, ready to break at any moment. In that moment, they felt it: bravery, connection, transformation. A powerful light bridged through the darkness, illuminating their path. Their journey together had only just begun, and as they raced against the wind, a thought resonated: sometimes, it's not the harsh elements of life that define them, it's the courage stirred within. Mia's heart swelled with determination, and just like that, they moved forward together into a brighter tomorrow. Now is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories of bravery and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the story alive. Comment your thoughts on this ending and how you've been inspired. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this journey. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.